ஒரு மகத்தான அலை உருவாக்கிடலாமா?
I'm just being terrible.
Except the language, everything that the British left in the education has to go. This education is focused towards education without intent. How quickly we shift to machine learning will determine where India will be in another 30 to 40 years' time. There was a time, I'm telling you, in Mumbai dock, in the Mazagon dock, if a ship came, those vessels were not of the size that they are today. Usually they were 150,000 ton vessels. If they came, they would unload it for over 3 to 4 months. Today, a 250,000 ton vessel comes in the major ports, within 24 hours, it is unloaded. Of course, all the labor who had built their muscle just to carry sacks, they all complained, if these machines come, they will destroy our life. Did they or not? All the trade unions complained or not at that time? Hello? So similarly, teachers should not complain and make the same mistake that the coolies did at that time. So what will we do if all machine learning comes? It'll be great time, because how much memory you carry on your head will not be of value. What kind of a human being you are will be the highest value. Isn't it fantastic time for human beings? The keenness of your perception, the sharpness of your intelligence will be more important than the volume of memory you carry in your head. These are good times, real good times for human beings to unfold, because this cargo of so-called knowledge is killing human beings. Just ramping up information into a child's head in many ways killing the fundamental genius that every human being carries within themselves. I see if machine learning comes very quickly, in our generation we can see children blossoming into highest levels of intelligence, unfolding of genius will happen. Because right now, this heap that you have to carry on your head, try to remember all those things, cos theta, sin theta, is driving you crazy, when a simple machine can do it. Human intelligence is of a different nature. We should never misunderstand memory as intelligence. Memory makes a few things simple, but it doesn't find excess. Memory is always of the past, isn't it? Hello? Can memory unfold the future? If you invest in memory, you will only repeat the past, a modified past as future. This is what is happening to human societies. If past should not be repeated, if we have to live a fresh life in the next moment, in tomorrow, if our tomorrow has to be different from yesterday, it is very important that human beings learn not to invest in memory. We use memory. If the machine carries it, we can use it and leave it. What we want, we can take it, what we don't want, we can leave it. But carrying it with you all the time, people are becoming recycling of the past all the time. Because once you have invested in memory, everything that you have is just recycling of the data that you have already gathered. This is in many ways really stifling the human genius. Every human being has a certain element of genius in them. It is only a question of, will we be able to provide the right kind of ambience for that particular genius to unfold? This is a challenge. This should be the challenge of the teachers of tomorrow. How do we provide that atmosphere to each unique human being so that they can unfold? That should be the only challenge we must be handling as teachers and people who are in charge of schools. But right now, our 90% of the focus is how to ram memory into their heads. This is a time that all of you as educationists You are at a point where the sooner we transform our education system, the better edge our children will have for the future in the world. How quickly we shift to machine learning will determine where India will be in another 30 to 40 years' time. So you have a tremendous responsibility, but as already introduced, you're supposed to grill me. I leave it to you. Please, if you have questions, whatever kind.
हमारे विद्यालय में विद्यार्थियों को एक आदर्श नागरिक बनाने का प्रयास में हम लगे हुए हैं, लेकिन कई बार हमें ये फील होता है कि हम लोग जिस विद्यालय से मैं हूँ, भोपाल रीजन में राजगढ़, एक ग्रामीण क्षेत्र आसपास में है, दूर दूर से बच्चे आते हैं, लेकिन हमारी ये समस्या हम महसूस करते हैं कि जो आर्थिक दृष्टि से पिछड़े वर्ग के पेरेंट्स हैं, निर्धन है, ग्रामीण परिवार से आते हैं, वे अपने बच्चों को एक तो नियमित रूप से भेज नहीं पाते, दूसरा शिक्षा के प्रति जो अवेयरनेस और जो जागरूकता उनमें होना चाहिए कि शिक्षा ही एक ऐसी सबसे बड़ी शक्ति है आज के युग में कि वे अपनी सारी समस्याओं को दूर कर सकते हैं, लेकिन पेरेंट्स उतने जागरूक नहीं है, उतनी अवेयरनेस नहीं है। इसके लिए व्यक्तिगत रूप से क्या किया जा सकता है हमारे द्वारा?
So we must understand this. Though India is one nation, there are at least 4 to 5 nations within India. Not everybody is in the same level of needs. There is a most affluent class in the country, there is a segment which is upper middle class whose aspirations are very different. There is middle class where it's always about how will our children get jobs and stuff, and there is rural and other dimensions which you're referring to, where it's only about somehow getting out of that social and economic pit in which they are. We cannot address all these categories as one. It is wrong to do that. In the name of uniform education, we are trying to do this. I understand the thought behind it, but it's not practical. It's because of this. Over $24 billion worth of education in India is going out to outside universities, because those who can afford, they don't want their children to study here because it is common class education. It's very important that we are able to provide for every segment of society. This is not to discriminate, this is not to segregate, but anywhere in the world it's like that. According to one's economic capabilities, different levels, whether you go to a restaurant or you take a bus or you take a train, there is first class, second class, third class, isn't it? Well, third class people won't be taken only halfway journey, they also travel full journey. Yes or no? Just because somebody gets into a third class compartment, it's only a question of comfort and ambience and stuff, but the distance and the destination is same for first class and third class, isn't it? If you say we will make everything third class, a whole segment of people will not travel by train anymore, that's for sure. So, similarly in education, this is not about classes, I would not like to use the word class when it comes to education, but the needs are different. If we do not provide this, we will not create a variety of human beings that we need for this nation's well-being. We need leaders, we need scientists, we need teachers, we need engineers, we need farmers, we need craftsmen, we need variety of people to make a nation happen. Right now, our entire education is actually oriented towards elite. Everybody is supposed to go to the university, that's how our education is constructed. Everybody need not go to the university. University is not a place to live. Like some people in Delhi, I hear till they're 40, they're living in the university. You must live in this universe, not in the university. So, the whole population aiming towards the university is not the right kind of education. This is this is the education designed by Her Majesty's Service. We have made some changes, but we need more drastic changes. I am saying, this may sound extreme to you, but what I am saying is, except the language. Everything that the British left in the education has to go. Language is a passport to the world, we must keep the language. Everything else need to go because that was designed for a specific purpose. Where obedience is higher than intelligence, that's not the way to bring up our children. That is the way to bring up occupied population. When we occupy a nation, we want obedience. When we're raising our children, obedience is not what we want them to flourish. We want them to be more intelligent than us. Our children must be 2 steps ahead of us, isn't it? So if that has to happen, we have to craft this. Just to give you some sense of this, we're running 3 different types of schools. More as model schools so that these systems can be incorporated by everybody. We have one level of schools in rural India, in remote places where there is usually no proper education facility. These are called Isha Vidya schools. Here the focus is mainly to get them out of their economic and social conditions. They will never get out of those social conditions in which they are, unless you move them away in some way. They must have a passport to go anywhere they want, not stuck in the same place. Almost 46 to 47% of the children who are in our schools are first generation going to school. Their parents have never been to school. This education, at the age of 6, we start English language and computer usage because these 2 are passports for them to step out. We have another school called Isha Home School, this is for the affluent, where it is run this way, 20 children will stay in a large household with 2 committed parents, and all education happens within the house, except for libraries, laboratories and playgrounds. Everything else is largely within the home kind of atmosphere. In a very caring, committed way, this process happens. The education is in a thematic way, in the sense, we always start the school when the monsoons are pouring, so the first, second, third standard always starts off with monsoon. We get them soaked in the rain, which parents never allow them to do. They really get through and through, soaked to the bone, and then we talk about the chemistry of monsoon, the other meteorological aspects of the monsoon, the economy of the monsoon, the psychological impact of the monsoon, everything is from the monsoon because you cannot ignore monsoon in southern India next to the Western Ghats. And when monsoon is happening, you're telling them E is equal to mc squared, it's not going to work. The children are interested in the rain, they think the sky is falling apart. This is the time to get them engaged in that. So this school is run in a certain way, this costs money. This kind of arrangement costs money because for every 4.5 children, we have 1 adult taking care of them. So on an average, I'm saying, this takes a very intense approach and our maximum limit is only 340 children. Obviously, we cannot educate the whole country like this. It's just more like a model as to how it works, and it works in a brilliant way. You must come and see the children, how they shape up in these 12 years. Actually, I made 12-year education into 13 years because we have invested so much in art, music, theatre, sport, leadership, that when the children come to 11th standard, parents go marks mad. What about my child, where will he go, where will he go? So I said 1 year extra. So people told me, Sadhguru, who will leave their children for 1 year extra? They're eager, their children go to IIT, medical college, this one, that one. I said, this is the way it is. Those who want to withdraw their children can withdraw. This happened 3 years ago. Not a single child was withdrawn. All the parents wanted their children to go through this. Because most of these parents are thinking of sending their children to, foreign universities, outside, overseas universities and things like this. 1 more year, they settle, they have a huge exposure to leadership qualities and variety of other things. In this school, we are beginning to do this. We wanted to start separate schools for this, but because we didn't have the economic strength to do it, Within the school we are doing it. We identify about 12 children, a group of 12 children when they're in their 7th standard, and we establish a mentor. Like let's say mathematics, we have a very high-quality mathematics mentor. He takes these 12 children from the age of 10, 11 to 17. 80% of the education is only mathematics, only 20% in the other curriculum they play around a bit. But these are only focused on mathematics. If we don't do this now, that our focus is not specialized, we are only thinking of… See, there was a time in 60s and 70s, we were thinking of literacy in this country. Because when the British left, our literacy was somewhere around 7% of the population, rest were illiterate. So our whole focus was how somebody can put his name on the paper. This was our focus. So to educate millions of people to one level is different. To come out with specialized focus towards children who are capable of that is different. If we don't do that, we will not have great scientists, we will not have great mathematicians, we will not have anything significant in the country. We'll have just a mass of people with the attitude of being educated without much education in them. So, this is one dimension of education. We have another education system called Isha Samskriti, where the only 6 subjects they study are yoga, Kalaripayattu, you heard of Kalaripayattu? It's a mother of all martial arts, classical dance, classical music, Sanskrit language and English language. These are only 6 things they study, no academics. If you want to see really, truly fantastic children anywhere, you must come and see these children. Because the focus is just on growing human body and human brain to its full potential without any intention. What will you become? We never ask them. Will you become a doctor? Will you become an engineer? See, these are all social things, these are not real things. From my own experience, like he was saying that my vision is because my father is an ophthalmologist. Well, he only examined the 2 eyes, he had no instruments to examine the 3rd one. So, this education is focused towards education without intent, developing human brain and body to the highest possible level without fixing what you should do. Because what should a human being do? What is most needed in the world, that's what he should do. It is not for me or you to do something fanciful that I desire. What is it that is most needed right now? That's what human intelligence should do, isn't it? If one is a fool, he will do what he does not like to do, suffer every day and go on complaining through their life and live like that. If you're intelligent, you will do what you love to do. But really, if your genius is flowered, you will do what is most needed right now, joyfully. That's what needs to happen. Today, we have a different kind of scientific temperament. We question everything, but with reverence.